Ladies and gentlemen, we have made it. Happy NBA Finals, Game 1. Ty Butler, we're here. At Ty D Butler, that's where you can find me on Twitter. We are streaming live on YouTube. Subscribe to the Ty Butler Show via YouTube. Hop in the comments. We want to make this a two-way conversation. So hit me up. I want to hear from the Knicks fans. It is a day you've been waiting for your entire life, man. But there is a generation of Knicks fans who have never experienced this. You got to be of a certain age to know this feeling today. So I'm excited to talk about it. First and foremost, if you missed me on the What's Right podcast with Nick Wright yesterday, go check it out. We had a nice conversation about the finals. We disagree on our picks and about the biggest moves in the NFL. AJ Brown getting traded, Myles Garrett getting traded. But it's a Knicks day, so who better to talk to than one of the biggest Knicks fans on the planet? I'm at the games with this guy. He's a tremendous success with his YouTube show, and he is my guy, the great Jake Asman. Jake, what up, baby?
What's up, Ty? I never thought I'd be agreeing with Nick Wright on a bunch of sports takes like I was yesterday listening to you guys go back and forth debating this series, but excited to join you, man. It's crazy that it's finally here.
It's crazy, right? The Knicks being in the finals tends to unite people who might be oppositions, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just so surreal. And what's crazy about this Knicks run, it feels like they have barely played any games. I mean, they played, as of tonight, this will just be their 8th game over 35 days. So, this run has been going on since April, but here we are in early June, and it feels like they barely have played basketball because they've been cleaning these teams up so quickly.
So I want to start here because, and I said this I was just on DPH on Rothenberg, and I said this to Ray Santiago as I was getting ready to come on. I'm not a Knicks fan, right? But for some reason, I woke up with anxiety today. And I'm thinking, like, what the hell is going on, man? Like, obviously, huge hoops guy. I'm excited for the finals. This is my favorite time of the year. And getting a, firsthand experience of what that feels like with these fans that have been awesome. But man, what's it like you wake up today and it's Wednesday, June 3rd, game 1 of the finals?
It just feels like it's taken forever to get here, right? I mean, first off, we go from 8 to now 8:30 tip time, which is actually like 8:42. So it's a long time to wait for these games to play. I'm actually doing okay. I'll be anxious like right before tip off, I'm sure. And depending on how tonight goes, if they win, I'll be a lot calmer going into Friday night, knowing they at least took one of the first 2 on the road. If they lose, then I don't call it a must win, but it's an incredibly important game. And then the stress levels, I think, if you ask me this question Friday morning, same time, are going to be a lot different. So I'm okay right now, but as the day kind of builds, I think I'm going to get a lot more anxious as a diehard fan.
So I think tonight, in an odd way, and I say odd because the Spurs are favored to win this series, and whether you agree with it or disagree with it, that's just the fact, right? More pressure on San Antonio in game 1 because, like, part of me feels like new experience for them. And not that the Knicks have been in the finals, but this is the first playoff run for this team outside of, like, Barnes and Cornette, who have won championships. And then, of course, you have Fox, who played in one round of the playoffs a couple years ago. But for the Spurs, you're facing a Knicks team that will be the most vulnerable they will be the entire series because they're coming off of an 8-day layoff. And while you prefer that, getting guys back healthy, there's the rust factor that we did see show up in game 1 in that Cavs series. And if you're San Antonio, it's like, man, we're at home coming off of Thriller, but it's not a quick turnaround. We had a couple of days off. We've got momentum. Knicks are on the road for the first time all playoffs. They're in a series where the other team has the best player for the first time all playoffs. So I think, man, San Antonio, I don't want to say all the pressure's on them because it's the finals, but this, like, if the question was who's game 1 more important for, I'd say the Spurs.
It's interesting because you could argue it's the Knicks if they want to kind of keep this aura of invincibility they have going into the finals rolling. Like, if they win tonight and they look good doing it, it's like, wow, they've won 12 straight now. You can't say, oh, who have they beaten? It's like, well, they just beat a team in the NBA Finals that took down the defending champs. But I think if I had to pick this side of the argument here, I think I'm with you because the Knicks, as the road team, they just need to find a way to win 1. And if they lose game 1, you could say, well, they were rusty. They haven't played. Now they shook off the rust. Okay, they're going to be the hungrier team. They're going to come out ready to go on Friday. I think this is going to be a tight one, though. I'd be surprised if this is a blowout on either side. I think this is close. We finally see Jalen Brunson outside of really that first game against Cleveland. Probably have to be impactful late in the fourth quarter in a tight game with 5 minutes to go. That's the kind of game I'm anticipating later.
And that point you just made, I want to hit on because I'm listening to Bill Simmons and Max Kellerman on Simmons's podcast, and Kellerman makes the point, and I think it's a great one. Like when you watch the legends like deliver their teams, clutch moments like Brady, Mahomes, like the best of the best. Part of what goes into it is it's not just that your teammates believe you can do it, it's the fact that the other team knows, yeah, man, he's going to do it. Like the 13 seconds game. Like, was there a Bills fan alive who didn't believe Mahomes could get the Chiefs into field goal range? And so with Brunson, he's obviously not Mahomes or Brady, but he is, in my eyes, the most clutch player in the league. And his teammates know that. The opposing team knows it. And I think that's what helped fuels his success in these waning moments that I find to be impressive. And so for him tonight, like you just expect Jalen to deliver. It'll come down to these other guys though. Like Cat, I think this is a big Cat series. I think, obviously Bridges and OG and Josh Hart, but if the Knicks are to win this series, it can't happen unless Cat is special.
Just you look at the matchups, who's going to guard Carl Anthony Towns? Like, I don't think they're going to put Wembanyama on him
They're
for
gonna
a
be
lot of the game.
Vassell. I think they might start Vassell on him early.
And I think that's an advantage for the Knicks to hopefully take advantage of throughout the series here. Cat's been so good in a role where he's touching the ball more, but he's not shooting as much as he had been. And that has really suited him. He's bought into that role. I mean, this is a guy who's a career 20 something points per game scorer, kind of buying in to being a
Yeah.
guy who's averaging now in the low teens and scoring in this playoff run. And he's all in on it. I think you're going to need more scoring from him in the series. And I agree with you. If Vassell's on him, if you got Cornette on him at times. I think that's advantage Knicks, and I'm expecting a big series from Cat if the Knicks are going to win this.
How concerned are you about Mitchell Robinson? Because, like, to me, obviously, he's one of the biggest X factors in, being able to not stop Wemby, but provide like the most resistance possible. It's like him and Rudy Gobert, the two guys you look at in the NBA that can present the biggest challenge. But it's also, we just talked about Cat. Like, you wouldn't be shocked if 4 minutes into the game, Cat's got two fouls that one of them is silly, the other one is ticky tack. How comfortable are you? And I know you're not a doctor, Jake, but just you're going to get a physically compromised Mitchell Robinson, who we still don't know is going to play in the game, but he's going to give it everything. He's going to give it his go and do everything possible to be in there tonight.
Yeah, I'm not a doctor, but I'll pretend to be one here on the podcast. I mean, look, I'm a little concerned. I don't think this is something where, assuming he plays, which I do think he will, you're expecting him to be an offensive threat, but he's going to be used on the screens. We know Brunson loves throwing those lobs off the pick and roll to him. Can he grasp the basketball? It looked like he could, at least at the open practice yesterday that the media was covering in San Antonio. Assuming he could go out there, still set hard screens, still be a force defensively, still give you 15, 20 minutes and just try and wear down Victor Wembanyama when he's out there. I think he could still be a big factor in the series, but I'd be lying to you if I said I'm not at least a little concerned and certainly curious to see how the injury affects him. Can he, he's never going to be a good free throw shooter, but, is he just unable to really do anything offensively now? And people laugh, he doesn't do that anyway, but he does give you typically 4 to 6 points a night off the dunks. The offensive rebounding is vital. In the NBA Cup win, a big reason the Knicks came back in the fourth quarter that night was because Mitchell Robinson had like 9 offensive rebounds. He was dominant. So I'm definitely at least a little concerned to see kind of what he looks like starting tonight in the series.
And to your point, I think I was asked this question. It might have been on SNY, but like, do you lose a little bit offensively when Mitch is in there versus Cat? And obviously, Cat's one of the best scoring bigs, maybe like we've ever seen. But Mitchell Robinson's superpower, and it might be the best that the NBA has to offer in this regard, is his offensive rebounding. And when you keep possessions alive and you give second and third opportunities for the best offense in the NBA, to, continue to have cracks at a basket, like that is super valuable. And so, yeah, man, it's huge. I expect San Antonio to, I don't want to say it's not dirty. It's like, it's a tactic. They're going to attack that hand, right? Like they are going to, on rebounds, when he's got the ball, they're going to poke at it just to see how physically compromised he really is. And that's going to be a strategy they use.
Oh, I'm sure. And that's what they should do. Again, how funny would it be if he actually shoots free throws better now? That guy,
Yeah.
yeah, it can't be any worse. So if all
Yeah.
of a sudden this finger injury or whatever technically his hand injury, I don't know the medical term, allows him to shoot better, that'd be hilarious. But he's going to play a vital role. I believe that, especially if Cat gets into foul trouble. You're going to
Yeah.
need Mitchell Robinson out there. You want him out there over Huck Porty in this spot. So it's critical that he's at least somewhat close to what he was. He doesn't need to be the offensive force. He's never been that guy. But can he physically go out there and play defense at the highest level? Can he set screens, grasp the ball, take a dribble before he hands it off? Like these are things that he still has to do for this team to function at the highest level.
One of the things I love about, and so here's where I want to go. What are your favorite storylines of this series? Because we've got a bunch that I find to be just incredible, right? Like the obvious rematch of the 99 finals. You've got rematch of the NBA Cup. You also have, could Jalen Brunson cement himself as the greatest Knick of all time with this championship? There's the, validation for Mikal Bridges, right? They win the title. Who gives a damn about the 5 first-round picks? The people were killing Cat, saying he's not a big-time player. They win the championship. All of that gets eradicated. And then you also have, from a Spurs standpoint, Wemby's the closest to maybe like Kobe's the last guy that just wanted to rip your heart out, took things personal. And we saw in that Oklahoma City series, like for whatever reason, he just doesn't like Chet and just erased him. So I could picture Wemby being the type of dude who rewatches the NBA Cup and it's like, all right, this is my reason to hate them. And he's just going to come after you, whether it works or not, to be determined. But I think we have so many storylines. The Knicks have been building toward this for the last 6 years, whereas the Spurs kind of feels like they've skipped a couple of steps. Like based on NBA history, teams don't get this far this quickly. And so, what are some of your favorite storylines going into Game 1 tonight of the series?
Yeah, you hit on a couple of them there. I mean, one of the narratives that we've said about these teams and just about NBA history, no matter who wins, is going to come to an end. Either your best player can't be small. If the Knicks win a championship, that narrative goes out the window. Jalen Brunson proves that you can be an undersized guard and lead your team to a championship. Becky Hammond, I know we spoke about it on ESPN New York together. Her take will officially have aged horrifically if the Knicks could pull this off. And there's a narrative in NBA history that you got to lose before you can win. Well, if the
Yeah.
Spurs go out there and Wembanyama's first playoff run and win a championship, that also ends the narrative that you got to lose before you could win. I know Magic Johnson won a title as a rookie, but
He had Kareem.
He had Kareem on his
Yeah.
team. A little different. This is truly a one-of-one situation in NBA history. Wembanyama's 22. He's never played in the playoffs before this run, and they're 4 wins away from changing that narrative. So either way, one of these like historic narratives we talked about are going to come to an end.
Yeah, and like Kareem's another example of a guy who won really early, but he had Oscar Robertson. Magic, you just mentioned, obviously had and Magic won his rookie year in Finals MVP, but he had Kareem. Kobe early had Shaq. Wade had Shaq. So the Bird had, list the Hall of Famers on that team, and so this would be unprecedented. Also, for Knick fans, unprecedented. Like just winning a championship. Like, and we talked about this. You go back to 2012 after the Giants win that title, and I tell you, we're gonna have a New York championship drought for the next decade and a half. Like we're drafting teams best suited to end that drought. Like the Knicks are at the bottom of the list. And this is with all due respect to the Liberty and NYCFC, but I'm talking about like the 4 major sports. It would just be, man, like, not that it came out of nowhere, because as I said, they've been building toward this, but no one would have suspected they were going to be the team to end the drought.
Yeah, it's surreal, man. Again, like, but the Knicks were just the butt of jokes for most of my lifetime. Like the most memorable Knicks season I've had before these last couple of years with Jalen Brunson was the one year they won 54 games with Carmelo. That was it. Like I remember being a
Yeah.
Knicks fan celebrating the fact that Stephon Marbury's team had them technically in the 8th seed in February before David Lee and Steve Francis and a bunch of guys got hurt, and they still extended Isaiah Thomas, and like that was like, oh, they're in a playoff spot, they're the 8th seed. Like there are just so many bad memories that we tried to like convince ourselves things were starting to turn with this team. So for them to be here 4 wins away from a title, first time I'm gonna be like aware of them in the finals. I don't count being 5 years old in 1999 as being a real fan. Then it's surreal. It really is. But they got to finish the job because it's nice to be here. And we've been able to celebrate the team construction, celebrate Brunson, celebrate the job Mike Brown has done, Leon Rose, all that. But they got to win because you never know when you're going to get back. And if you're going to beat the Spurs, I know you and I talked about this when we were debating on radio, are the Knicks better off facing San Antonio or OKC? If you're going to beat them, I think you beat them now when they're young and they don't know any better. Like they're going to be back. Wembanyama is incredible. He might be the best player in the league already, you could argue. You got to beat them right now. You got the rest advantage. You got the team that's hungrier, I believe, that has been here, that has been knocking on the door, that's kind of gone through the traditional, you got to lose before you can win mantra. Like I want to win. I think the Knicks are just as good as the Spurs. You want to call them an underdog, that's fine. I don't think there's that much of a talent disparity or a drop-off in these teams. I think they're very close, and the Knicks have a great chance to win this thing.
So I want to ask you about something you just mentioned. Like, you got to get it done. Do you ever get to a point, if the worst case scenario happens and they lose this series, where once you are going through the stages of grief, it's like, hey, we made the finals. Like, we kind of accomplished one of our goals, and we're just you won a playoff series, conference finals, and Eastern, and then NBA finals. Like, do you get to that point, or is it just 100% soul crushing? We lost the finals. Don't talk to me about finding positivity in a series that I thought we could win, especially when we're that close.
It's a great question. I think that question can't be answered just yet, because as a fan, I want to see how it plays out. If they just get beat, they lose in 4 or 5, that's going to affect my answer than if they are in a highly competitive series and they lose in 7, right? I think how you play determines how you feel about the season as a whole. Because if they just get, and I don't think this will happen, if they get swept or they lose in 5, I think you're having conversations about, well, do you run it back or do you still have to make major changes to the roster? Have you gone as far as you can go with this group? Did you take advantage of a weaker East with some injuries and the matchups favoring you? And then you played a quote unquote real team out of the West and they mollywomped you. Like, I think the feel for the team and the season in large part will be dictated by how they look in the finals. While at the same time, if they were to lose in the finals, I don't think we could call it a failure when you've done something for the first time in 27 years, but there's going to be that, man, did we just waste our best chance at it? Because who knows what will happen going forward.
Because there's also, and we could both relate to this, the Jets part of it, right? Where it's like, 2009, 2010 happens. Rex is here. He's not kissing Belichick's rings. We're the best team in the NFL. They get to back-to-back AFC championship games, phenomenal defense, excellent run game. Mark Sanchez is young and seemingly on an upward trajectory. And then they haven't been back to the playoffs since. And, not that I expect that from the Knicks, but it's similar in that we view the Jets as, a team with bad ownership. A lot of people say that about the Knicks. And so, this would be considered a wasted opportunity because you're not guaranteed. And by the way, flip side, here's where I disagree with you about the Spurs. We can say that they'll get back here. They'll win a bunch of championships. We said that about the Bucks after they won. We said that about the Nuggets after they won. We said that about Oklahoma City last year. And my point is, we are seeing parity to an extent that I've never seen in my lifetime. And I think that is a result of the pace of play over 82 games. It's never been harder to play defense because of how much mileage you got to cover. And that just leads to injuries. And so all those teams that I brought up that won championships in their title defense end up getting hurt. And with Wemby, who's 7'5", you just don't know what the shelf life is for a guy that size, because history tells us big dudes get hurt. And so I love it. What I love about it is this isn't house money for either of these teams. I know the Spurs are young and we can think they'll get back, but you got to capitalize when you're there because you just never know what will happen. Like Halliburton tears his Achilles in Game 7 of the finals.
Totally fair. You don't know, the one thing I would say is if I'm betting on which team is more likely to be back, I'd bet on the team whose best player is in his first playoff run and is 22 years old. Whereas
Yeah.
the Knicks, there are a bunch of guys that are in their, late 20s, early 30s. Like, I don't think they're just going to be awful next year if they don't win the finals. But, Tatum's going to be back to being Jason Tatum. Halliburton's coming back. There's younger teams in the East that could emerge. Let's see what the Pistons and Cavs do to kind of reload here to try and close the gap. To me, it's and especially as a Knicks fan, and you already brought up the Jet example. Like you just never know, so you want to take advantage right now. But I agree, you can't just say, "Oh, the Spurs are definitely going to be back." I just think if I was betting on a team, I think is more likely to be
Yeah.
back, it'd be the team whose best player I don't even think has scratched the surface of his prime yet on what he's going to be.
All right, I want to put you in a tough spot here. I have to. Um, I give you this: Jets win the Super Bowl next year,
Oof.
but the Knicks get swept by the Spurs in this series. Are you signing up for that?
If I say no, do the Knicks win the championship?
Um,
Like I got to
okay.
take the guaranteed title. If you told me, hey, the Knicks win the title, but then the Jets can't win the Super Bowl, I'll be like, well, I'm not expecting them to win the Super Bowl anyway, so
Okay. So,
I'll take
uh,
the Knicks title in that
so
scenario.
how about this? The Knicks win the championship this year,
Yep.
right? Or the Jets win the title and the Knicks get swept.
Oof.
So you got both teams winning championships, and for different reasons, they are just like ginormous. Like who's coming into this season thinking the Jets are even gonna make the damn playoffs? But
Yeah.
they somehow upset the Rams, who just got Myles Garrett in the Super Bowl. Your
Geno
show's
Smith and
blowing
Aaron
up,
Glenn, Super Bowl
baby.
champions.
The Jake Asman show and the Asmaniacs are going nuts. Jets win the Super Bowl, but the Knicks get swept in the finals. It's a tough spot, I know, but I gotta ask you.
Yeah, that's really tough. Oof. I'd be dumb to not say the Jets for this reason. Football is my favorite sport. As much as I love the Knicks and I love the Yankees, like football is number one for me. And my livelihood is built around talking Jets all the time on my YouTube channel. So that alone, I'd be so stupid to not say Jets because of all the things financially and career wise it would
Yeah.
lead to. But that's tough. And I've said this before. I'll take any championship, man. I am in no position to be discriminating against any title. I'm a big hockey fan, not as big as basketball, football, baseball, but I am an Islander fan. When they were in the conference finals 2 straight years, I was dying to see them get to the cup and win it all. So I'll take any championship. But if you make me pick Jets or Knicks, I would have to go with the Jets because of how much more football means to me and what I do for my line of work outside of radio.
Yeah, it's a personal thing. It's also your career. Apparently, Rothenberg saw you walking through Times Square with like jet hoodies. So
It's
think
funny.
about
This story evolves every time he tells it. I ran into him and Gary Myers walking somewhere on the street, and I was wearing a Jake Asman Show hat, and I had on a Jets hoodie, and that became like I was wearing Jet footy pajamas. I was wearing like Jet underwear, and I'm like, "Hello, Dave. Nice to see you as well." And somehow that story, as you know, Dave tends to do,
yeah.
has evolved.
He does exaggerating is one of his best traits. All right, so let's get your prediction tonight. Who takes game one and why?
I'm going to say the Knicks steal game one. I think that they're just ready to roll. I think a big advantage for the Knicks that's not being talked enough about, Ty. They've been through this 9-day layoff, and I think they will learn from that experience. They admitted that they were not at their best in that game one against Cleveland. They know they can't go down 22 points in the fourth quarter and expect to come back. That will not happen against the Spurs team on the road, especially. So I think the Knicks kind of play on their experience advantage here and the rest advantage. And I think they steal game one on the road. Spurs take game two, and we go back to Madison Square Garden tied at a game apiece.
So here's my question. And I picked the Spurs in 7. As much respect as I have for that team, I just wonder about the uphill challenge that is going into MSG with those fans and winning a single game there. So I almost feel like does San Antonio have to be up 2-0? Because if it's 1-1 going into game 3, the Knicks are going to win game 3. And then once you win game 3, it's the pressure of the finals. Now, to the Spurs' credit, they were down 2-1 in the conference finals and were able to pull it off. They were down 3-2, so they had battled adversity. And Oklahoma City is a tough place to play in. But man, MSG with that crowd. I was actually there for Wemby's first MSG game, and his first shot, he shot an air ball. Clearly, he's matured since then. If the Spurs are to win, I don't know if this is the take, but I'm soft launching this take that if the Spurs are to win this series, I think they got to take the first two at home.
I think, look, MSG, I think is going to be insane, but I think we've seen in these playoffs, home court not necessarily matter as much as we're traditionally told it matters. I mean, OKC lost a game 7 at home.
Yeah,
Boston
and
lost a
game
game
one.
7 at home. Yeah, they lost game
OKC
1 as
lost game
well.
one too. Yeah,
right. And last year Indiana won game 1 on the road in the NBA Finals, if you remember. So I think if it's 1-1, they still certainly have a chance because I could see them winning a game 3 or game 4 at the Garden. I think if the Knicks could all of a sudden get it 1-1, they win game 3. I mean, you'll take that and put all the pressure on the Spurs to try and grab one at the Garden. Then imagine what the crowd will be like in game 4. The one thing about the crowd, though, and you and I have spoken off air about this, with the tickets being what they are and just how strict they are letting people into the building here, like you do wonder if the conference final crowd might actually, in a weird way, end up being louder than like some of the corporate finals crowd. I'm curious to see kind of what it actually sounds like. There's a lot of hype, the Garden, the finals, but the ticket price to get in right now for game 3 is almost $5,000. So I am curious to see like which actual like real Knicks fans are in the building.
I also wonder how many people are just making bad life decisions and are just like punting on mortgages and car payments and like, canceling vacations just to get into that building because, the Knicks, like you've never seen this before. All right. So at what point do you get nervous? Like, is it like Spurs up 2-0? Is it 2-1? Like,
Oh yeah, 2-0.
where do we get 2-0? Obviously, right? But
I'm
take me
nervous if
through
they
like
lose
the
game 1
next.
tonight. If they're down 1-0 and because again, I don't think the series is definitively over if they're down 0-2 because there's that saying, the home team until they lose
Which
a
is
game in the
stupid.
series, it doesn't start. But you're down 0-2, like
Yeah.
all of a sudden that aura of invincibility the Knicks have right now where they're winning 11 straight and they beat the average team in this run by 19 and a half points per game. That's gone if you're down 0-2. So you lose game 1. Yeah, I'm going to be incredibly nervous going into Friday night. The only good thing is it's a Friday night. So if they lose, I could get absolutely bombed and not think about it. And if they win, I could get absolutely bombed and enjoy it with all my fellow Knicks fans out
I
and about in Manhattan.
I was gonna ask you, what are your plans for watch parties in games 1 and 2? Put me on.
Yeah, I'm very nervous. I'm on the fence. I was invited to a couple of like watch parties. I've been going to American Whiskey. They're right by the Garden. They've been awesome to hang out with. Magic Hour. My friends at U Stadium and the New York Post are doing something there later, so they're trying to get me to come through. There's so like every bar is going to be packed and full of energy. But I'm also like one of those fans that I like to kind of be alone and watch my teams.
Yeah.
I was able to enjoy the Cavs series, the last 2 games on the road because they're already up 2-0. So I allowed
Yeah.
myself to go out and enjoy the watch parties. But the first 2 games, I mean, like I was at the Garden like nervous. Like I wasn't able to like fully like go crazy. Just that I'm very anxious when I watch my team play big games. So I'm either staying home or I'm going to venture out. I guess we'll see.
And with all due respect to my family who I love, this will sometimes happen when I go to like I have Knick fans who are in my family and they want to do a talk show during the game. And I'm just like, no, I just want to watch the game. Like they're peppering you with all these questions. And again, I love them. And I think this is with all due respect. I want to watch every play. And I want to be as invested as I would be for any other game. So you picking the Knicks to win the series? How many games?
I'm gonna go Knicks in 6, just because I want the dream ending to what has been one of the more dream and unexpected runs we've seen. They close it out at the Garden. They obviously clinched their trip to the finals on the road. So let's say they win their first title in 53 years at home. We'll go Knicks in 6, and that's more me just being a fan than like having confidence because I think it's going to be a very tight series, and I wouldn't be surprised either way.
So Knicks in 6 tells me it's 2-2 series. Because if you think this series is going to be very competitive and tight, it means that going into game 5, it's 2-2. The Knicks then
Yep.
snatch one in San Antonio, which would be incredible. And to me, the moment that happens, this series is over because there's no chance the Spurs come into MSG for Game 6 and win that game. And
That's my feeling.
think about what the ticket prices are going to be
Oh,
to get
if you
into a
look
Game
now,
6
it's already insane. And I've said this: if it's 3-2 going into Game 6, Knicks leading, that will be the highest sporting event ticket ever. Like forget
ever.
New York
Yeah,
sports ever. Like there won't be
ever.
because of limited inventory. The Knicks, the Garden, chance to win a title for the first time in 53 years. Like you're gonna need 10K to get into the building.
Yeah, it's going to be incredible. All right, so we disagree. I've got the Spurs winning this series. And so I listen, when you pick a team to win a 7-game series in 7 games, it shows you how little confidence you really have in them. Like there's just no, it gets to a Game 7, anyone can win. And then you have the Knicks in 6. Put me on. So you got the Jake Asman show coming up at 10 o'clock. What we got cooking over there?
Yeah, a lot of Jets and more so Knicks talk these days. Jets did have an open OTA yesterday, so I'm going to have Nick Ferry on, who covers the team for Sports Illustrated, recapping that. I got some good tidbits from Samini on our Jets Collective podcast we do together, and then we'll do mostly Knicks. Got a lot more on the matchup to break down, and what's great about the Knicks is most Jet fans are Knicks fans, so you can
Yeah,
talk Knicks because it's like you're still reaching that audience that's tuned in for Jet Talk because again, they're with respect to the Nets, the Knicks are that one team that unites the city. It's like how the
yeah.
Sixers in Philadelphia, everyone's a Sixer fan, or Celtics in Boston, everyone's a Celtic fan. The Knicks represent that for the biggest city in the world.
Yo, I saw something that I don't know that I've ever quite seen before. So I'm driving back from the gym, and you'll see houses with like American flags or like whatever, right? I saw a Nick flag. I'm like, have I ever seen a Nick flag hanging from a house? Like,
That's awesome.
it's awesome. It's insane, man. Before you get out of here, I know you got the show coming up. The Miles Garrett and AJ Brown trades. I got to get your reaction to it, but I'll tee it off with this. It's a must. Like if you're listening, you got to do it. Your team's been knocking on the door the last couple years post Super Bowl, so you lose a tight game against the would be champions last year. 2 years ago, same thing happens against the Eagles. 3 years ago, you lost a 1-point game to the Lions. So they've been right there, and this is the move that puts them over the hump after the Jalen Watson trade, after the Trent McDuffie trade. But low key, I also love this for the Browns and hate it at the same time. It's a great trade for Cleveland. So if you're just like an NFL analyst, you're like, man, you turned the best defensive player in football to all of these assets. It then sucks for the Jets because like we knew the Browns were going to be in the quarterback market. We knew the Browns would stink, but they're just like announcing to the world we're punting on the season. And now they become the second team to have multiple first round picks. And so it's kind of a bad day for the Jets.
Here's why I'm okay with it because the Jets played the Browns week 5, so now you don't have to
Yeah.
deal with Myles Garrett. And I'm a Jet fan, even though I have, just like you, major questions with the head coach. I'm at least rooting for him to prove me wrong, and I want the Jets to win games because I'm a diehard fan who lives and dies with the team, as are you. So that game becomes more winnable. And I'm not that worried about the extra one they got because like
The
realistically,
Rams.
the
Yeah.
Rams aren't going to be bad, barring catastrophic injuries. Like that pick might
Yeah.
be 32 or at least 28. Like it's not. It's going to be
Fair.
a very late one. So I'm not that concerned. I'm more concerned from the first point that you brought up. The Browns are punting on the year, and they're not going to be very good in all likelihood unless Deshaun Watson or Shador surprises all of us, which I'd be surprised at this point. So like they're going to be right there with the Cardinals, the Dolphins, the Jets for these teams that we think are going to be in the running for the top pick in the draft. And look, you never know. I think this year was extreme where it felt like there was truly only one first round quarterback in Mendoza. But I do think, even though we hype up these guys every year, there'll be at least 3 or 4 guys that are first round guys in the in the draft next year. It won't be like this past year.
And from the Rams perspective, look, I don't want to say I killed them, but I was very curious how with the 13th pick in the draft, you could take a guy who, if all goes well this year, won't play a single snap. Like Ty Simpson's not seeing the field. And if he does, something went, to use your term, catastrophically wrong. But now it makes more sense. Like we're not going to have the draft capital to get our replacement for Stafford. So let's take him now. And then our draft pick will essentially be Myles Garrett, the best defensive player in football. So they're clearly all in. And look, I get we have to play the games and injuries can happen. I don't know how you're beating the Rams this year. Like I just and now we see, and I don't know how impactful it's going to be, but Jordan Schultz was texting with Aaron Donald yesterday, and he said like he's flirting with the idea of coming back. He's 35 years old. Who knows? They're loaded on both sides. Like that team doesn't have a weakness outside, I guess, of their quarterback sold, but he's coming off of winning the league MVP.
Right. I mean, they have the reigning MVP and Defensive Player of the Year on the same team. Like, how often does that happen?
This
It's
is like
insane.
KD Steph on the Warriors. Like it just
Yeah.
feels unfair.
It's just injuries, right? That's really the only thing that could slow them down. I mean, they have, in my opinion, top two, top three coach in the sport in McVay. They obviously have a stacked roster. They have the MVP of the league. You added the reigning defensive player of the year. I mean, the only thing I think that could go wrong is injuries at the end of the day. And it's football, so that could happen. But you don't, when it's boring to do sports talk and be like, well, guys could get hurt because you could say that about any team at any time.
Who's the biggest challenger? San Fran, I guess, if healthy. Seattle, the defending champs, they lost guys. And then,
I'm curious to see
throw
what
in,
Sam's like without Kubiak there as his OC. Again, like
yeah,
everywhere Darnold's had success. Minnesota had Kevin O'Connell last year. Clint Kubiak was the hot offensive name. He's now going to do his thing with Mendoza. We'll see how that works. It's just hard to repeat as well. Like it hasn't happened since the Chiefs did, and then before that, we went like 15 years in between
yeah.
teams repeating. So I'm with you. I mean, I think the Rams are the prohibitive favorites out of the NFC, and then maybe the team that stops them is a team like a Mahomes with his ability to just take over a game. And same thing, I guess you could say if Burrow, if they got right, or Lamar, if he stayed healthy, same thing with, some of these top quarterbacks. If they
Yeah.
met the Rams in the Super Bowl, like it's one
I
game, man.
guess,
Like we watched Eli beat Brady twice.
yeah, I guess the counter would be the NFC has, I think, the two best divisions, and they play in one of them, the West and the North. So, like, at some point, there, if the injuries don't run its course, like, there will be more, more resistance. And then the Eagles, who, let's talk about them real quick. You don't lose AJ Brown to get better. Like he's one of the best receivers in football, and I understand you had to do it, right? Like he's disruptive in the locker room, but you don't lose that guy and then the next day say we're a better team. Maybe they end up being better because of synergy matters and chemistry and all that stuff. They drafted Mekhi Lemon, and maybe this is like a come to Jesus moment for Jalen Hurts, who I think, let's be honest, like could be playing for his job the next couple years. Like, is it off the table? The Eagles draft a quarterback in 2 years from now when they get that Patriots pick. And so that Brown trade makes a lot of sense for New England, makes sense for the Eagles, but it is going to hurt them.
It depends how quickly Mekhi Lemon turns out to be a good player or not. And then that's a big part of this. I also think they put Jalen Hurts on notice with this deal. Like, dude, no excuses. We got rid of a guy who was a quote unquote malcontent in the locker room. Now we need you to raise your game and be more of a factor in us winning games in the regular season, not just relying on the running game and the tush push and all that. To Jalen Hurts' credit, like he's been unbelievable in Super Bowl games. Like he's been awesome, but they need more consistency from a passing standpoint in the regular season now. And I basically think this move is like a put up or shut up type of thing. Like, all right, wait, like some of the parts without Brown is going to make up for him not being there. Let's see if you now could raise your game, and you got a new offensive coordinator coming in. Is it Sean Clifford or Sean Mannion, whoever their OC is, played the position. Yeah, like it, I think this is like hey, like Jalen, like we need you to be the guy now. There's been all those articles that have come out where basically they leaked what the drama was and Hurts's reluctancy to basically diversify the offense if you read the story. So I think it's basically like put up or shut up if you're Jalen Hurts right now.
Last one for you. And look, this is the hint of skepticism, and I don't know if it's the Jet fan of me or this is like legitimate analysis. AJ Brown's one of the best receivers in football. Why is he on the trade block? Because he feels like he's not getting the ball enough. So now you go to the Patriots, and Drake May never had to worry about that last year. Just spray the ball around the field. He's finished second in league MVP, and we can just operate without having to worry about what Allen dealt with Diggs, and Diggs ironically was on the team, but he was on great behavior, and what AJ Brown did with Jalen Hurts. So I do wonder, like, is that behavior in the rearview mirror, or like could that show up again once this honeymoon phase is over?
I think it really depends on how the Patriots are playing, because I think they got better with AJ Brown. And I think a big factor in the deal is Mike Vrabel, right? Because Mike Vrabel
Yeah,
coached him in Tennessee. He knows the type of player they're getting. I'd be more worried from a Pat standpoint if AJ Brown was going into an environment where he didn't have a great relationship with the head coach. So I think it will be okay, at least for the first year,
fair.
assuming New England's at least. I don't think they're going to be a 14-win team again because their schedule was as soft of a schedule as we'll ever
Yeah,
see. But I still think
yeah.
they're probably at least a 9, 10, 11-win team. They'll be a playoff team. And I think if AJ Brown's getting the ball and they're winning 10 games, I think he's going to be fine.
Well, this was fun, man. I appreciate you. I know this was late notice, but I always have a good time talking to you, whether it's ESPN New York Radio or doing this on the show. Enjoy the game tonight, my man. I will talk to you soon, and hopefully we get to be in attendance for one of these games.
Yeah, my bank account is about to hate me for what I'm assuming
Oh,
going
so
to
you're
have to do.
you're doing it. You're swiping.
Yeah, I'm doing it. If you could call it a deal, I guess a deal. My friend's a season ticket holder, so I'm going to go with him and get it, a lot cheaper than what like the secondary market is, but still like calling it a lot cheaper. Like, you're still paying 3 something grand to get into the building, which is insane, but I got to do it. I don't know if we talked about it. I don't know if they're ever going to
Yeah.
get back here. It's a bucket list thing. And I think I'd kill myself if I didn't get to at least one of the finals games. So I think I'm going to do it.
And you don't want to kill yourself as they're winning a championship. That
Right.
wouldn't be good.
Yeah.
I wonder
I want to enjoy
how
the
many
parade.
I wonder how many people are hitting up Don, our street attendant. Like, hey Don, I know I haven't spoken to you in a minute, but he's Jake Asman. He's got the
I heard
Jake
Kay
Asman.
say on his show that he can't even get tickets. So I mean, I think it's
Man,
like
if
nearly
Kay's not,
impossible for anyone besides maybe like the highest of high ups at ESPN, a good karma to get into that suite.
damn, if Kay's not getting tickets, it's clip for all of us. Jake Asman, top of the hour's got the Jake Asman show coming up. I'll be tuning in, my man. I appreciate you. We'll definitely do this again at some point next week. So I appreciate you, dog. I'll holler at you.
You got it, Ty. Thanks for having me.
All right, that was Jake Asman's tremendous stuff. Always love chopping it up with him. Got game 1 of the finals tonight. And again, I don't know why I feel anxious. I'm not a Knicks fan. I picked the Spurs to win in 7. It's kind of like a can't lose for me to some degree because there will be Knicks fan. I saw when I put the tweet out, Spurs in 7. I put the tweet out. Whoever wins the West, I'm picking them to win the finals. Folks were bookmarking the tweet, and they are ready to unleash those receipts. The moments the moment Mike Breen announces the Knicks are NBA champions, they are one of the things on the to-do list is let's show Ty how stupid he was for picking against them. I get it. But it's kind of a can't lose situation for me in this regard. Spurs win, I'm right. And that's what I root for. I root for my text to be correct. If the Knicks win, just as a talk show host doing radio and television in New York, bro, like we can eat off of that all summer. All summer. I've got the radio show I do every single Sunday from 8 to noon, right? We'll talk Yankees, of course. I don't know how much more we can get into the Mets. Like they stink, but they'll be at least part of the buffet, right? Jets and Giants coming up. But the Knicks winning a championship, if they close it out, what would that be? June 12th? What game? What's that? June 16th, I think it would be, right? So June 16th. We're now middle of June. They win the championship. July, August, we can have that be a main topic and carry us to football season. So it's a win-win for me. I know you guys like to think, hey, he's a troll. And I had to go back at Dave. I was just on the morning show. It's not troll behavior to pick the Spurs to win the series in 7 games, guys. So I am saying that the 62-win team, led by a 22-year-old phenom who might be the best player in the sport, is going to win the championship 9-5, 9-6, but in 7 games, and that somehow is interpreted as me being a troll. I don't get it. The other thing is, Knicks fans, we're on good terms. Because maybe in the past I've done that, going at them. But we're on good terms, man. Knicks fans have been popping out to the streams. They've been coming through on the radio programs I've been on after Knicks games on the radio and the shows that I've been doing. So I think we've bridged that gap as far as like being hated by the Knicks masses. Man, I was on who's the mayor of the Knicks fan crowd, right? Who's the mayor of the fan base? My man CP the franchise. Guess whose podcast I was on? CP the franchise. Guess who came on my show? So listen, it's phenomenal. I'm looking forward to this run. I expect this to be a classic series. In any way you slice it, it's a win for the NBA. You either get the announcement to the world unanimously, Wemby's the best player on the planet, face of the league, Spurs win the championship, and it's unprecedented. We've never seen a guy do what he does. We've never seen someone accomplish this feat in the fashion that he did. Or you get the 53-year drought is over. And New York City is just never the same, man. Like, how long is it going to take Mamdani and company to clean up the streets of New York City if they win the title? It's just all summer long. It's a party. And I said one of the biggest losers of the Knicks winning the championship, it's Becky Hammond, New York City employers, because you don't have folks showing up to work. That's not going to happen. They're taking the summer off. It's a dub. So what are we? 11 hours away from tip-off. I'm toying. I think I might do a post-game stream. I am going to be on DiPietro and Rothenberg tomorrow morning to recap game one. Should be fun. And let's do it, y'all. Ty Butler. Hit me up, Ty D Butler. That's Twitter and Instagram. Deuces.